Pfaff sewing machines are known for their decorative stitches, and some of them, like the Pfaff Quilt Expression 720, allow you to create your own decorative stitches in what is called the Stitch Creator. When you go in here, you've got pretty much a plotted graph area where you can add stitches and maybe even take a stitch that you've had on a different brand of a machine, or even a machine that your friend has. They have a decorative stitch that you like, but you don't actually have that on your machine. You can actually create it yourself. So you can actually add your stitches and then move them to where you want them to be. You also have where you can actually kind of move it like you're plotting a course, so you'd have actual coordinates to where you're going. And then as you continue to add, you can create something fabulous. Now you almost have to have something that you're kind of trying to actually accomplish, because when you just do it like this and you touch OK, you might not get much of anything. So it's okay. So if we go back to the Stitch Creator, we can go in and keep adding to those stitches. We can come back here and even edit the stitch. So wherever that little extra thick green square is the square you're using or deleting, and before you know it, you have your own stitch. Now, that's not as exciting as something I like to do. So here, going back to Stitch Creator, touch and hold the trash can. We'll delete anything that you've tried to attempt here. One of the things that I like to do is actually take and go bring in a decorative stitch. Now, if you just sew that decorative stitch, this particular one is a single straight stitch. So with regular thread, it's not a bold stitch, but there is an option right here I use all the time, especially on our Stitching Cosmos quilts where I want the decorative stitches to be extra bold so they show up. This is my trick. I could take the stitch into the Stitch Creator and touch this button right here where it says 3 times. Did you see how it got darker? So when it goes to stitch, this stitch is now a triple version of the stitch, not just a single version. Now, it does take 3 times as long to stitch, but it is worth it. So that means that you can take any stitch, let's just delete this out, bring in another stitch of your choice, especially some of those that are like just the single stitch, triple it, and sew it. If you love that, you can save it into our personal menu, and you can even see that that's one of those thicker stitches immediately. Now, the other thing that you can do in the Stitch Creator, let's just go ahead and kind of start over here. We can bring in a stitch, and let's just say we brought in this stitch. So we can actually kind of take and delete stitches. So if I kind of come here, well, not all the way. Let's try that again. We bring in a stitch. So now they're not all selected. There's my thicker green square I'm looking at. But I can actually take and even delete out a part of the stitch. So maybe I go something like that and then touch OK. Now I've got a new stitch. This is what I like to do, is take a stitch that already exists and maybe twist it up just a little bit. So that would be something, and again, I could save that as a brand new stitch because I know that's not one that's actually in the machine. And I could even come to our sequencing where we could actually bring in that stitch from our stitch menu. That's over here, menu 10, and I saved it in the 1. I could bring in 1 and then actually bring it in again and then mirror image it. Oh, isn't that funny? It goes back to where it was. That's funny. All right, so we could have some fun with just mirror imaging some of those stitches and seeing what we could get, something totally different. That actually spread it out a little bit. That would be fun as well. So you can, oh, let's save that one because we're on a roll. So there's 2 different stitches just from a quick little adjustment in the Stitch Creator. So just know that if you see a stitch, you love it, and you don't have it, you actually can create it in the Pfaff Stitch Creator area.